Millions of Canadians, once eager to visit the US, are now canceling their trips. Hotels in Maine, restaurants in Florida, and retailers across the US are feeling the sting. But this isn't just about travel. It's a powerful political statement in response to rising trade tensions and Trump's verbal attacks on Canada. At the same time, Canadian consumers are taking their protest a step further by boycotting US goods, choosing local alternatives instead. From grocery stores to car dealerships, American products are being left on shelves as Canadians rally behind domestic businesses. This growing economic divide between these two historically close allies is reshaping trade, tourism, and even defense policies. With new tariffs, countermeasures, and shifts in alliances, is this the beginning of a long-term split between Canada and the US? Stay with us as we break it all down. Before we dive deep, don't forget to subscribe to the African Web for more insightful content. Beyond cancelling trips, Canadians are making a conscious effort to cut down on American imports, fueling a nationwide economic shift. Grocery stores have reported a surge in demand for Canadian-made products as shoppers avoid US brands, while retailers are stocking up on local alternatives to meet consumer demand. Even in the automobile industry, some Canadians are delaying purchases of American vehicles, opting instead for European and Asian manufacturers. This boycott is more than a reaction. It's a statement of economic resilience, signaling that Canada is ready to redefine its trade priorities. A political stand for decades, Canadian tourists have been a cornerstone of the US tourism industry, spending billions every year in states like New York, Florida, and Arizona. However, in an unprecedented move, 90% of Canadian tourists have now cancelled their trips to the US, causing severe economic repercussions. According to the Old Orchard Beach Tourism Council, Canada accounts for nearly 40% of the tourists in certain areas. This year, that number has dropped sharply, leaving businesses struggling to cope. Hotel owners like Sterling Morse in Maine report that over 90% of their Canadian customers have withdrawn their bookings, leading to massive revenue losses. But why such a drastic shift? The answer lies in rising trade tensions and the inflammatory rhetoric between political leaders. Trump's dismissive attitude toward Canada has sparked a wave of national pride, turning travel into a tool of protest. For many Canadians, visiting the US was not just a leisure activity, but a symbol of a peaceful and respectful relationship. Now that trust has been eroded, leading to an economic standoff that is playing out in real time. US businesses feel the burn. The impact of this boycott extends far beyond tourism. Canadian visitors contribute approximately $1.2 billion annually to the US economy, not just through hotel stays but also in restaurants, shopping centers, and tourist attractions. The absence of Canadian travelers is forcing businesses to either find alternative customers or accept financial losses. Small businesses are particularly vulnerable. Many local enterprises, already struggling with economic uncertainty, now face declining revenue and possible closures. Industries like transportation, lodging, and retail are feeling the immediate impact, but the broader economic consequences could be even more severe. Could this push the US into reconsidering its diplomatic approach toward Canada? The US imposes new tariffs. Canada responds on February 1st. The US government announced new tariffs on Canadian imports, set to take effect on April 2nd. These tariffs will make Canadian goods more expensive in the US, hitting industries like agriculture and manufacturing the hardest. Canada wasted no time in responding. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly made it clear, Canada will protect its economy and jobs. But the most striking response has come from ordinary Canadians themselves. In what seems like an unofficial economic retaliation, Canadians have significantly cut back on spending at US stores, boosting domestic businesses instead. Canada looks beyond the US. This isn't just about tourism or trade. Canada is quietly shifting its alliances, reducing its dependency on the US market. Canada is strengthening its comprehensive economic and trade agreement with Europe, eliminating tariffs and boosting trade with the EU. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership is linking Canada with Japan, Australia, Vietnam, and other emerging economies. Military and defense contracts are now being sourced from Europe instead of the US, signaling a significant policy shift. By diversifying its trade partners, Canada is positioning itself as a global economic force, ensuring that it no longer relies on a single market. Could this be the beginning of a major economic transformation that permanently alters US-Canada relations? Canada's shift toward military independence. Canada's relationship with the US isn't just about trade, it's also deeply tied to defense. Yet, recent moves suggest that Canada is reconsidering its military dependence on the United States. For years, Canada has relied heavily on American-made fighter jets and defense technology. But now the government is in talks with the European Union to explore alternative defense contracts. One of the biggest potential shifts. Canada is considering abandoning its F-35 fighter jet deal with the US in favor of Sweden's Gripen jets made by Saab. What's driving this change? Unpredictable US trade policies make American defense contracts a risk. Stronger Canada-EU ties are opening up new opportunities. Canada wants more control over its own defense industry. If this trend continues, Canada's military relationship with the US could shift dramatically in the coming years. Ontario hits back in a bold countermove. Ontario has taken direct aim at the US power grid. The province has imposed a 25% tariff on electricity exports to the US, a decision that is already having major consequences. States like Michigan, Minnesota, and New York rely on Canadian electricity for over 15% of their energy supply. With the new tariffs in place, energy bills for millions of Americans have spiked by at least $100 per month. Businesses are scrambling to absorb costs, passing them on to consumers. Meanwhile, Ontario is profiting, raking in nearly $400,000 per day, amounting to over $12 million per month in extra revenue. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has been blunt. The American people didn't ask for this trade war, Trump did. And now they're paying the price. Canadians are opting for locally produced goods or imports from Europe and Asia. Supermarkets have reported a surge in demand for Canadian-grown produce, dairy, and packaged foods as consumers deliberately avoid American brands. This shift isn't just about economic protectionism. It's a form of resistance. By keeping their money within Canada, consumers are ensuring that their economy remains resilient despite US trade pressures. Trump's tariffs backfire, and this isn't the first time US tariffs have led to unexpected consequences. During his previous term, Donald Trump imposed steep tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and lumber, key exports for the US market. Initially, the White House celebrated these measures as a way to protect American jobs. But within months, the reality set in. Construction costs skyrocketed due to tariffs on Canadian lumber. US dairy farmers suffered as Canada imposed counter-tariffs. American manufacturers faced higher costs, forcing them to pass expenses onto consumers. Now history is repeating itself, and the fallout is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Are we witnessing the beginning of a permanent economic divide between Canada and the US? Will Canada's push for greater independence reshape its global alliances? And most importantly, how will these changes impact ordinary people on both sides of the border? Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe Canada's economic resistance will have a lasting impact on US policies? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the African Web for more in-depth discussions on global economic shifts and political strategies.